Hello YouTube Nation, it's lovely to see you guys again. I know it's been a while since I posted a video here, but thank you again for coming back and keeping me company. So today I would like to talk about this whole situation about coronavirus. As many of you know, I do live in China, currently based in Beijing, and I am definitely in the center of things as this epidemic unfolds. So I wanted just to talk about a few things here and there. First of all, what the situation has been like. As you know, I think the Chinese New Year this year, the official holiday began on the 24th of January, but then I flew out of the country the 23rd evening, so it hadn't caught up at all. So yes, many people were taking it seriously, but not as serious because people thought, well, it was just gonna blow over. It was similar to a flu or something. But so what I remember is when I was in Madrid, that's when I started seeing the numbers really rising really fast, because of course I was keeping up with the news, and each day the numbers were just skyrocketing, and of course everybody started calling me and getting concerned. Where are you? My mother was calling me every single minute, and it so happened that at that point I was having similar symptoms to what so many people with the coronavirus or those who have been infected and have turned out to be positive had similar symptoms like coughing. So I was coughing, I was sneezing, but the good news was that I did not have a fever. So I just thought to myself, anyway, after all, it's around that time of the year when I'm usually very vulnerable when it comes to catching a cold. So around December, every time it gets really cold, I'm always coughing, I have a chest congestion and stuff like that. So I just didn't take it any seriously, and I thought to myself, well, if I don't have a fever, then I don't have to do anything other than take some cold and flu medicine, which of course I did. Well, then I went to Barcelona, and then Barcelona was a bit warmer, then I felt like I was feeling better. Then the cough kind of went away, and the sneezing sort of went away, but then I started feeling as if I was having a fever. So that kind of really worried me. So then I decided to check myself into a local pharmacy and ask if they could take my temperature. So they did, and it turned out I wasn't having a fever. Maybe I was just experiencing some sort of exhaustion and I just needed a bit of rest. So that was good news. 3 days later, I flew to Munich, and in Munich it was much colder, almost as cold as Beijing, if not colder, because it was snowing over there, it was gloomy, it was just cold and wet. So the cough of course came back. I was feeling much better physically, the cough came back, and there was also here and there, depending on where I was, then I was sneezing. I would be sneezing like a crazy woman. And I was just hoping that people wouldn't run away from me while walking on the streets when they hear me cough, and then they scatter, but that wasn't the incident. So I did survive until the day, 2 days before I was supposed to fly out. Then I received a message from my airline. I was flying Lufthansa, and Lufthansa said that they had cancelled all flights to China, and they don't know when they will be start flying again. So if I wanted to, and any passenger wanted to, they could cancel their flights and rebook with another airline, or try to rebook on the same flight but on a later date. So of course for me I was worrying because I needed to come back to China, and I didn't have, even though I do have friends in Europe, but as you know, if you've been to Europe, it's really expensive, especially if you're coming from China, which things can be, especially food wise, transport wise, things can be relatively cheap. So then I just decided, okay, well, this is good news, I can extend my stay for a couple of more days. So then I tried to rebook my flight. Thank God Air China was still flying, and I decided, okay, so I flew back to China 2 days later than I was supposed to be back. And and before that, actually, I had received a message from two of my bosses, both at different times, and they were really worried with me because they asked me, when are you coming back? And I told them, well, my flight is cancelled and da 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 da. So they were like, well, if you cannot come back, just let us know if you can facilitate anything. If not, then if it's possible for you to go back home, which is Kenya, then you can go back. So I decided, well, just at that particular moment, when I was thinking what else to do, I actually contemplated going to France for a bit, but then the Air China kind of called me and told me, well, we've got a flight for you. So then I was rebooked and came back. Now at the airport in Munich, I don't know why, but for some reason the airline staff and anybody who asked you where you were going or where you're headed, and they were like, I'm going to China, they were like, why would you want to go to China? I'm like, but I live there. But they couldn't fathom why I would be flying to China at that particular point. Anyway, long story short, so on the airline, first of all, I didn't even have a mask, because when I went to the pharmacies around Europe, sold out, everything sold out. So I didn't have a mask. So and to be allowed to fly, you had to wear a mask. So I just told them, look, I don't know what to do. I tried to find a mask, I couldn't find any. So thankfully, I think it was the pilot who had an extra mask, and she agreed to share a mask with me. So then we flew back the entire time wearing masks all the way to Beijing. And when I came back, it was total dystopia. Things like you watch movies and you think there's no way this can be possible. When I came, first of all, so I landed in the morning. So at that time, it should be a bit bright, the sun should have come out, but it was so grey, so quiet, so gloomy, and everything was just quiet, as if it was the end of the world and everybody had been wiped out. So anyways, so then I came and stayed in my apartment for 14 straight days until last Friday, I think. Yeah, about a few days ago, or a week ago, let's say that. And since then, we've been receiving messages from the office telling us how to protect ourselves, what to do. So usually what I do and what we've been advised to do, so for 14 days, first of all, what I had to do was every morning and every evening, so twice a day, I had to take my temperature and send it to my boss every day. I had to monitor my signs. So this is what I got. This is my protection kit that I'm going to show you, and I think it's very good if you can have these kind of things to protect yourself, not just you, but also in case you go out there, other people around you. Yeah, so normally during winter we tend to wear this kind of mask, which is basically just a sponge, but it looks cute and looks a bit more fashionable than the rest of the stuff. So usually in winter you'll see a lot of people wearing this kind of mask, but unfortunately during this time of the coronavirus, these are not proven to really protect you from any germs or bacteria that might be flying up there. So what they did is, like, for example, our office provided us this kind of mask. So it protects you both from contracting any viruses and also protects you from the pollution, and of course also the surgical masks. So most people have both this, and you see some people, because sometimes you might be wearing red shoes and yellow, I don't know, blouse and a black hat, and then you have to wear a blue mask. So you see, they don't bode well, they don't match. So some people would put on that, and then on top of that they will sort of wear that on top as well. So it's sort of like a double cushion for yourself, and at the same time pretty fashionable. And most people will have these. So basically, according to the list they sent us, they gave us a list from the office which types of masks we should be wearing, and definitely these are the ones that have been proven to be able to protect you from this danger or this bacterial infection, otherwise known as coronavirus. Another thing that's crucial and it's essential that I've always made sure I always buy these, a bunch of these. I think it's an instant sanitizer, and this one is by Miniso, I think, and I bought these long time ago, loads of them. I didn't know why I was buying them, but I just thought, well, why not buy them? And of course, I never knew how to use this thing, you know, a thermometer, until I came back and they told me, lady, you must send us your body temperature twice a day. So I had to go and get this and learn how to use it. So now I've got two, so in case one breaks. So I still, of course, after 14 days I didn't have to send my body temperatures anymore, but since I got into that habit, every morning when I wake up I try to check my temperature, and then of course when I go out the door or I come when I go outside sometimes, well, randomly, like today I had to go to work for a couple of hours for my 1 hour broadcast. So of course you need that, because you never know who's in the office and where they were and who they touched. Of course you're touching doors, you're touching things, so it's good to protect yourself. As you know, sanitizing your hands and washing your hands is really, really, really important. So how do you protect yourself? Number one, make sure you've got masks on you, and make sure you have sanitizer, hand sanitizer, especially when you're going out and meeting people. Make sure you've got a body temperature thermometer, which helps you check your temperature, because I think if it goes above 37.3, you should be really concerned, especially if it continues, if maybe once or twice, if you take your temperature at least 2-3 times and the temperature is above 37.3, then you really need to call your doctor or call someone to check up on you on the symptoms, and also monitor other symptoms. The sore throat, if you have a sore throat, coughing of course, sneezing, and generally just feeling not well. Just make sure you get checked up and, you know, protect yourself and protect other people around you. So if you have any questions on how to protect yourself, if you need to understand anything about coronavirus, what the situation is like here in China, send me a message right down below. I'll do my best to be able to answer you back. But in the meantime, please stay tuned for more, and thanks again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and place a like on this video, and even if you have, you know, negative comments, I'd like to hear those too, because I like a bit of criticism, and that's how we grow, right? So thank you guys, and see you again in the next video.